What's happening, guys and gals? Everybody, hope you're all enjoying your time in the break, the Christmas break or the holiday break, or whichever holiday that you all celebrate, Hanukkah, Christmas, or of any other meaningful holiday that you're celebrating as of today, as it is winter break for most of us and all of those around the world. So today I just wanted to and again really to follow up and to refocus with this quick video about just enjoying yourself with your outside nature environment. You know how at times we step outside from the moment or just the comfort of our own home. You know how the very moments we step outside for fresh air, or we just go out there to get some quick fresh air to take a break from the very um, places we sit at, whether if it's at work or at home, if we've been just really taking the long, or we've just really spent a long moment of our time where we've either sat on the couch, watched TV too long, or we've just been at work in our office sitting at a desk for within 2 to 3 hours. I know one of the great ways is to, at a beautiful weather like this, when it's sunny, take advantage of the weather. Just go out and get some fresh air to really get that sense of sunlight soaked into you. The very things that we want to be able to, as a way to gain more productivity. One of the very many reasons why most people who are in that workforce type environment, where it includes working outside, going outside, doing construction, landscape work, snow removal during the winter time, for those that do a lot of the physically labored, intense environment areas, versus, of course, in the labor industry area, there are places where you work around confined, heavy noise areas, loud noise areas, whether if it's in a manufacturer slash factory warehouse environment. But in that aspect of just the very essence of just stepping out for fresh air and just follow through with your way of gaining more productivity, how we can really gain ourselves for more production out of ourselves. Well, it is by, of course, stepping outside, getting that fresh air, the source of fresh air. Excuse the words here, as I'm drinking a cup of coffee here. Hey, even a cup of coffee too will also help, or whatever any caffeinated beverages you drink, Coke, coffee, tea, to gain yourself more of that productivity, that positive sense of high, the positive sense of high. The very things that we also really look for. One of the very many reasons, most of us who have a house and like to step outside and do gardening, the very main resources to take advantage of that outside nature source areas, is the ability to, garden your own plants, grow your own food. There are very many great reasons of being able to produce your own food, to be able to produce instead of having to get you know, cooked up and very, would you say, established into eating the processed food. And of course, going back into that healthy and diet environment, that very healthy and diet aspect. Our jobs that we do, right? For example, whether, in an office job that, yes, it's going to include us to be able to move around, get more productivity. And in fact, in some of the today's workplace environments, whether, for those that work in an office environment, it's become a more of the open space environment where workers are able to move around a lot, take breaks, take frequent breaks to gain more production. One of the things that employers who are investing their time into their employees in the workforce world is to, in order to gain more production out of the employees, they give them that time in the break. They give them that chance to just go out, have a 1 hour lunch, or if it's just going out. And again, the very things that does give exposure to employees who work for companies that allow them to travel for business purposes. It gives them that ability to grow more into their business aspects. But again, I go back in that very essence of stepping out, just getting that quick fresh air. Take that 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minutes, even better. 5 to 10 minutes, even better, to just get out and get a quick fresh air. To when it's a nice sunny day outside, and you catch up, you can catch up with anything you have in mind. To catch up mentally, physically. The very things that we really take granted for, and the things that are not looked out for upon us. It's really up to us. And again, from going back into one of my videos I presented to you all about is, work within yourselves, regain your awareness about yourself. If it really means going out into the nature, going out for a good long hike, an 8-mile hike, or 3-mile hike, for all the hiker enthusiasts and nature enthusiasts. But hey, one of the very many reasons, and again, why we're called the nature enthusiast or outdoor enthusiast, is because we love that environment. We love nature. We love the outdoors. The very many things that, and one of the reasons why the national parks, the state parks, are around is because so that way people, all of us, including, and indulge me with this information as it is, presented to you in a more, would you say, a sale-like fashion, where they want to sell you to have you go do these things. But as of course, as a much more concerned and modest, talkative way to give you all my best advice is to get out and do it for yourself, to look around, to really just, and again, constantly and consistently be adamant, be strong-minded about just enjoying yourselves, but also not be dog-headed about it, but also, address the needed concerns. And again, the very needed concerns that is disturbing in the very increases and the unsatisfied regulations in our government affairs is the very many things that's later on gonna prohibit from us enjoying the leisure and fun activities that we want to get out of, such as going outside, going out into the parks and enjoying our options to go hiking, hunting. We are really one of those capable human beings where we've been moving around since the beginning of hunters and gatherers, since the beginning of time, where we're bound to move around. We're meant to be active. One of the very many reasons why, of course, we have to still, and again, be aware about ourselves, to be constantly proactive, but also constructive. Constructive in yourselves, constructive in your own community, constructive for your own state, your country, and of course, being aware about what's going on around the world, staying up with the current events. And as of course, as we take this a moment to really just gather up, gear ourselves up before the big celebration, as of course New Year's Eve, going into 2020, catching up on that meaningful areas, going back into the brief discussions I talked about, harnessing your weaknesses, taking that weakness and turning it into the real life possibilities. One of the very many reasons why we can really enjoy our time, just to be able to step out for a quick walk, is to take that moment to evaluate yourself mentally, to gather your thoughts, harnessing your weaknesses and turning it into, the very possible best realities. The very many things that, yes, of course, it's hard to take into, but also it's really possible enough to make it happen. Make it happen enough to certain points where we can still actually be focused. The power of focus that Tony Robbins talks about in his videos, and how we can really truly stay focused as people, how we can really, just grasp our most needed attachments. I ask this question to most everyone I talk to is, what makes you happy? What makes you happy? What makes us happy as people? And in doing so, carry that happiness and move it forward with open possibilities. And that can really turn into real life aspects, transformations, getting more exposure. The very basic aspects of getting more exposure and stepping outside. And I say this with just not in a very scripture toned formal basis, but also more casual, modest, informal conversation as a way to really encourage everybody to get out more, expose yourself more if you want to really just enjoy the very outside environments, to the excitement of what goes on from the inside environments, but also in times when you're stressed out, when you're physically overwhelmed, get out of that, get out of the vulnerability if possible. Because for one thing, one of the reasons why I say to step outside for quick fresh air is that you're winning yourself. That means you're basically winning yourself in a more responsible and, as of course, professional, and in a more of, whether if it's casual, depending on the environment that you're around with a number of crowd that you're talking to, is you're giving yourself that time to excuse yourself because you have to. Excuse yourself because you're allowed to as a human being. You're allowed to, because we cannot be controlled. We're not meant to be controlled as human beings. We're meant to be free. We're meant to be real people as individuals, free and open to real life possibilities where we can get ourselves, we can get out of that vulnerable, we can get out of the vulnerable exposure to the exposures that what our nature gives us. The trees, the trails, the mountains, the sun, the very things that we depend on. One of the most important source of light to depend on as we grow ourselves as people, would also, use that source for energy purposes in growing our plants. We grow in our own gardens, our fruits and vegetables that we grow as a source of energy. So, and again, I may blabber on about this and say that I don't have a specific topic that I talk about, but I talk about this as a way to still actually regain and also announce myself to everybody that find better ways to regain your awareness, but also, yes, to look within yourselves, because as I've said before, salvation comes within. That's one of the things that we can really regain ourselves. That's one of the things that we can really get to know more of ourselves, whether we're a man, a woman. We have to really want to be able to be aware about ourselves, because the very things that we live around with, the very hypnotic, or whether if it's preconditioned, or whatever you call it, whatever you name of it, but and again, it's really going to be truly up to us, through our own personal matters, and that can carry that, how we can really carry that on to in our settings through family, friends, co-workers, any organizations that we're involved with, whether it's, of course, as long as it's constructive and that is active enough that you are doing it for a reasonable cause, business, manufacturing, or the very many areas in the workforce and the business entities as well. But again, it never hurts to step away from the vulnerable exposure and get yourself exposed to outside nature environments. And again, I can stand up real quick and just give you a background of where I'm standing, where I'm standing and why I do this, because I do it for the purposes of outside exposure, taking that moment to get out, to just let the outside nature soak into you, get that fresh breath air, get that real nature, the nature. Yes, I know that the nature can be scary, because the nature has its purposes to provide what we need, but of course it can provide the bad weather environments in the very, planet Earth that we live on, with the hurricanes, the rain, the snow, and in every area you're at. I always suggest to everybody is prepare for the worst. Prepare for the worst. But in doing so, yes, take the time to get your exposure outside. So anyway, that's is all I have for right now, and that I hope you take this video and I hope you take this content and to really soak into it. To really just soak it up. Soak it up. The best way to learn about anything that you have in mind is to really soak it up about what you want to know about. The very things that we like to read about, the very things that we like to see, is to really just not concentrate on always trying to get the information so quickly or to take that picture. Is to look, hey, relax, step back, soak it all in. Because remember, that's what's in here and here. That's what's going to build up our confidence, our physique, our smiles, to share their memories. Because remember, evidence is not going to always be there, but what we're building here is there forever. Forever. That's one thing, the knowledge, the applied knowledge that can't be taken away, nor our names can't be taken away. One of the important lessons I've learned from Grant Cardone, the 10X, the real estate expert, who's very drawn and obsessed and money driven, but also he's very driven for success as well and helping other people. One of the things that he said, or he found out from his dad, who was a very successful businessman as well, and a devout father and a family man too. So for all the fathers out there who are devout fathers and a family man, a lot of respect and credit to you, and just giving that time. But then again, he stressed about your name. Your name is important. That's one thing that we can't be taken away from, is your name and your knowledge can't be taken away. Your name and your knowledge. So hear me out on this, but as far-fetched as it may be, or as too truthful as it is, but the truth is the truth. It's what we gotta wanna handle. It's what we gotta wanna be able to expose ourselves with. But in doing so, soak it all in. Soak it all in. Soak it all up. And be good. Bye.